Hey, folks. Welcome back to Tampa Florida Living Channel. Glad you could join us today. I see a few people already in the queue. Excited for today. We've got Brian Marks, our preferred mortgage rep here in Tampa. You guys have seen him before when we do our market updates quarterly, but I invited him back because, there's a lot of hot topics right now surrounding the housing market, and it's really good to get two angles, not only the realtor angle, but the mortgage side of things. And data really tells the story. So today, we're going to talk about the housing inventory, Tampa Real Estate. We're going to talk about some of the pricing drops that you're hearing about. And then, of course, I want to talk about reactions to the current market. So, Brian, how's it going, man? Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Things are going well. I mean, we can't complain. Obviously, we're seeing a little bit more inventory on the markets, which pretty much everybody in the industry has been begging for the last 4 years. So I actually think it's a really positive thing.
Yeah, man. It's funny. So I want to start with stats, but I want to give a few minutes just to get some people on here. Because I know they're starting to jump in. Elmer Robinson, how you doing? I always like to say hi to people. So hey, how's it going? Jazz, I see you on here. Excited to have both of you. Anybody else that's jumping on at any point? We always like to hear from you. Hear any questions you have. So on the front side of this, I definitely want to talk with Brian, show you guys some stats and hit the points that we mentioned, the topics, the key points. And then after that, throw in some questions because we're live here, so we can definitely answer your questions. All right, so let me shift over to this right here. Pulled up a bunch of stats for you, right? Because we keep seeing all these different topics popping up. I'm going to zoom in here for you guys. But right away, you can see here, I'm looking at this last month, June, because we're always a month kind of lagged. But we're looking at June stats for Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, our big MSA. And you can see here again, June of last year to June of this year, we've had a 2.4% increase in the median price point. So we're sitting at about $425,000 is the median price point. Okay. Now, as we move down, we've got 26 days on days to contract. And that's coming off of 18 days last year. So it has kind of slowed down a little bit as far as time on market. And there's a big reason for that. We've had a big inventory surge, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But this time last year, we were only sitting at 6,200 listings. Right now, we've surged up to 11,000 listings. So that's a big, almost double, not quite double, but almost double. And you're going to see the months of supply of inventory. It went from 1.8 months to 3.4, meaning if you don't have any more houses go on the market, you stopped right now. In 3 months, we'd be completely out of houses to sell. So what does that mean? Well, I always say, take emotions out of it, and supply and demand will always tell the story, right? Mm-hmm. What does it mean we've had a ton of inventory? Well, that means that we are naturally going to slow down on our sales, right? What are you feeling on the mortgage side? Are you feeling those sales slowing down or what?
We've actually honestly see it pick up in the summer time frame. Granted, sometimes usually a pretty busy time of the year because the kids are out of school. A lot of people don't want to move their families, move to a different school district while kids are still in school. But we've definitely seen it pick up a little bit more than it was, let's say, even in the spring, where spring historically is going to be very busy. I would say it's very steady for the most part. I think the biggest thing that's helping the consumers and the buyers is what you mentioned, having more inventory. So they're going under contract on more properties is what we're seeing. They have more to choose from. It's not one of those things of, when we had basically no inventory at all, you had someone's search parameters and there was maybe 10 homes in that search parameter. So they'd already seen those 10 homes and they were just waiting for another one to come on. So their home search was much longer than what we're seeing it now. Now we're seeing people come to us and we get them pre-approved. You and your team start taking them out, and oftentimes they're going under contract. They're finding a property that they like within the first couple of weeks, if not the first month. Whereas, let's say if we backtrack even a year ago or 2 years, sometimes that sales cycle it's not uncommon to have it be 3 months, maybe 6 months, even longer, because they're just waiting for a home that they wanted whether it's in the neighborhood they wanted or the school district, price range, you name it, based on their search parameters. There just wasn't a lot of inventory to choose from.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting, man, is a lot of times we're here inventory, talking about housing inventory, right? You hear everybody saying, and I say everybody, media, right? You see a bunch of people saying, oh, it's the biggest cooling market. Number one, I'm going to say, yeah, they're right. It's cooling. And that's a good thing, right? Because we've been running hard for the last 2 to 3 years here. So this is actually starting to normalize. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by normalize, it's 3.4 months supply of inventory, right? 3.4 months is still a seller's market, but it's starting to get towards that normal market a little bit. And, you know, when we cross 6 to 7 months, when we get more than that, then it becomes a buyer's market. And that's where things will start to shift a little bit and things really soften up. But right now we're in a really good place. And it got me thinking, like, okay, how do I explain this to somebody? And I started thinking, man, this is more like 2019. Like, and I say pre-COVID, you know, because really post-COVID is where we saw things just kind of go nuts, like 2020, 2021, 22, you know, even now at 23 a little bit, it was kind of nuts. Mm-hmm. So what does this feel like? It feels like 2019. It feels like, hey, if a home's on the market 30 days, that's normal. That's okay, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like when you take a buyer out, there's a few options, you know, and you call the listing agent and you're like, hey, you know, do you have any offers? You know, kind of have an interested party, and you have time to ask questions and then maybe sleep on it one night and say, hey, let's make an offer. And then depending on your feelers, you know, hey, could you make an offer that may be $10,000 light? Maybe there's room for minor negotiations. Yeah. You know, that's it makes real estate fun again.
We're seeing people they're enjoying the process more. They're happier with their home purchase. They have more options. The last 4 years, I mean, if a home came on the market that you liked, you would certainly overlook a lot of things. You're like, well, it's missing, you know, this, and this that I really wanted, but I don't know if another one's going to come on in this neighborhood, so I have to jump on it right now. So now people are getting a lot more of what they want in a home, and it's really their true dream home.
Yeah, so I pulled up some new stats from 2019 because I was that curious. So if I was distracted a minute, it's because I wanted to pull up some new stats. But hey, Corey, glad to see you jumping on here. Thanks for watching us. And hey, from Ohio. So we'll definitely get to some of your questions there in a minute. But just wanted to say, hey. So folks, I know this looks like the same thing up here. You can see 2019, same time last year. I'm sorry, same month, but in 2019, right? Comparing it to 2024. I want to put these side by side, and I'll figure out how to do that in a second. But essentially, you're going to laugh because obviously you're seeing the price of $250,000, right? Compared to $425. You can see how much we've increased over the last 2 years. What you're going to notice when I go side by side is percentage of sale price is still the same, 3 points off. 26 days to contract is about the same. Okay. And then we're looking at inventory, and we're looking at 10,000, almost 11,000, which is what I just said. We're at 11,000 as far as inventory. And so that's not like a shocking number. It's not like we've never seen this. And when people are like, oh, you're landsliding, Tampa's going under. No, it's not. We've been here. This is when the market was actually still increasing, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what I mean by increasing is you can see, because these stats always compare year to year. There was about a $10,000 increase, 4%, which is exactly the same number we saw. So I'm going to put these side by side here for you in a sec here. Let me figure out how to do this real quick. 1 second. Here we go. All right. So, I'm not the techie guy. Hold on. So Brian, I mean, did those numbers catch you off guard there for a sec, or not really?
It's really kind of what I expected for the most part. You know, the market feels the same way as it did in 2019. I didn't expect it to be as close as it is. I mean, it's almost identical.
It's almost identical. And that's why I say to people like, hey, let me get this a little centered for you. All right. So folks, this is 2024, June. This is July 2019, right? And as we're looking at it, let me get these right here. All right. So as we're looking at it, again, we're looking at 425 to 250, but we had an increase in price year over year, increase in price. Again, 97% median. This is the percentage of list price that the accepted offer, right? Right at 97, same thing. 26 days to contract, 26 days to contract. Down here, we have 11,000 active inventory, and over here, just under 11. I mean, it's literally 2019 again, and that was a really healthy market. If you remember, I don't know, Brian, you remember back then, you were definitely in mortgages.
Yeah.
Was that a good year all around, buyer and seller?
2019 was a good year.
Yeah. And so, I love seeing that. I love that comparison, because now it's like, okay, we have 11,000 active inventory. Is the market falling? No, it's not falling. It's that we have now settled in, right? Mm-hmm. And, the next thing that pops into mind here is it's really price drops. It's like, okay, well, how can you explain a price drop? Well, the way that I explain price drops, because I've seen headlines and it's always like, the biggest price drops right now are happening in Tampa and other places. What it is that we are seeing sellers overprice their listings, right? And the prices are standing there. They're not getting good comps. They're getting comps and they're finding the best, and they're like way overpricing it. And to be fair, the houses weren't really updated. And that's what we're seeing in those. If it's priced right, it's a nice house in a good location, that thing's gone in a week.
Still selling, still multiple offers we're seeing.
Yeah, it's not taking 30 days. But when you get the average house in your average location and you overprice it to the top dog, it's going to sit a while. So what we're seeing is those sellers like really have a come to Jesus and say, hey, I got to lower these price points over time, and it'll eventually sell, but it's taking more time to sell. Not only that, but there's more inventory compared to a few months ago. So buyers are now getting, they're having time to shop, right? So by definition, by what I just told you, is that a price drop? Yes. Is it a value drop? No. We saw right here, 2.4% increase from this time last year to now, right? So just thought it was kind of interesting. Now let me blow this back up. The other thing I want to say is as you start to scroll down here, you can see, I'm going to show you median sales. Sometimes graphs help a little bit, right? We're right here as far as price point. This is 2020 all the way to 2022, and it was pretty much just headed straight up, right? Increase. We topped out right about July, and then things started to come down. Then we went right back.
It's not showing the graph.
Oh, my bad. Thanks for that heads up. Here you go. Right back down. So right here, you're seeing the graphs. This is median sales price, right? This is 2020. You can see it going straight up to 2022, kind of settled in right in here in January, and then right back up during those summer months. Like you said, we always see an uptick in those summer months, and then right back down January, and then right back up to July. So really, in our median sales price has gone up a healthy amount between 2022 and now. We've seen the ups and downs, but we're talking a few percentage points, not what we saw from 2020 to 2022. Mm-hmm. So I really do think our market is normalizing a little bit in a healthy way. Now, Brian, let's talk about something here, and hey, Jazz, hey, Jordan, I'm going to get to you guys in a moment. We're definitely going to jump into some questions. I just want to finish this one off here. What are you seeing as far as reactions to the market? Are you seeing any kind of changes or good, bad, or whatnot?
Really, for the most part, obviously, it's a month by month thing. I would say really, in terms of the market, I think it's never been more important to work with an experienced real estate agent, like Adam and his team, for example. They all have years of experience. Newer agents we're definitely seeing have a tougher time right now. And really for the buyers at the end of the day, it kind of segues into Jordan's question based on the high inventory, what are you seeing with sellers? For a really, really good experienced agent, before you even submit that offer out, they're going to tell you, hey, this property is way overpriced. The sellers were shooting for a pie in the sky number. They're not going to get it. Or they can actually reach out and see what kind of motivation, kind of like you were saying, Adam, and really negotiate with the sellers at the end of the day. Because the longer that they sit, The more negotiating power typically most people have. And obviously there's a caveat, one-offs here and there where sellers just don't care at all. Maybe it's another home that they own where they don't actually have a motivation to move anytime soon. But for the really good agents, we're seeing them still execute a number of transactions and really get a lot of negotiation, both seller credits and off the purchase price as well.
Yeah. One of the things I am seeing, and I'll get to in a sec, is a little bit of an adjustment on new construction, as well as like on the resale side, we're actually seeing a little bit more of representing a buyer, we can negotiate a little bit more in certain scenarios. New construction, we're not seeing too much of a lower in price, but definitely a nice bonus on those incentives. And a lot of times right now they're throwing incentives, not so much at the heavier cash side, but buying down the rate, because that's where obviously that's a sore point for people, right? No matter what. But here's something interesting. Somebody said, hey, what about foreclosures, right? How are foreclosures looking? I said, well, let me compare those two also. So again, we're going to go 2024 versus 2019, just a quick look. Foreclosures this month in June, we had 21 foreclosures in all of Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, right? 21. Short sales, we had one. We had one. You think that's low or high?
That's low.
Yeah.
21,
look at last year.
Area? What?
Look at last year.
5 million people?
Yep. Look at 2019, 101 foreclosures. The year before that, 113. So it wasn't like a spike. I mean, you're seeing quadruple the amount of foreclosures. I want to say last month there was even less than this, but that number has been like just historically low. We're not seeing that because people have equity in their homes. They can sell, they can do different things. So it'll be interesting. But the other, so going to the next thing here, you just get out of this for a moment. Right here, this was Casa Fresca. In fact, guys, if you're sticking with us and you love my channel here, make sure to check out our Sunday videos as well. But I'm covering Casa Fresca because they're doing a brand new release of homes in Morejon, the Lagoon community. And it's going to be their bold product, kind of the first look here. In fact, I'm even getting you in there before their grand opening. So that'll be cool. But just using this as an example, I just looked up move-in ready homes like in the region, and you can see 4.49%. It's not on every home, but as you scroll down here, you'll see 4.49%. These guys are running 4.75, 4.49. This is something that you're seeing from the builders. And a lot of times there, you just got to give us a call and we can help you find certain homes. But a lot of times those are going to be in move-in ready homes, and they're buying that interest rate down and locking it in for you for the time that somebody's ready to buy. So again, some of those reactions to the market, we're seeing buyers starting to negotiate a little bit. Sellers are starting to lower their price to adjust to the slowed down market. And on the new construction side, to help out, with that relief of interest rates still staying up right now, they're buying that rate down a little bit. So it's kind of nice there. So let's jump up here, Brian, and let's jump into some questions. So let's see.
Take Corey's condos.
Yeah, we'll start up here at Corey. So, hey, Corey, congrats on your daughter's graduation coming in May, man. But yeah, what are your thoughts on jumping on the condo train? Brian, what are you seeing on the condo train as far as there's two different parts to this. There's always going to be a pro and a con. On the con side, what are you seeing? Because I know it's a little bit of a headache right now with condos. What are the pluses and minuses there?
I would say it's kind of split a little bit between newer condos and older condos.
Yep.
Newer built condos are still moving very quickly. Older built condos, typically, like for example, more in Pinellas County, so more on the water, where those are, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s builds, they're sitting for longer. And something we're really noticing is mainly it's because the homeowners insurance for the master association. So that when you buy a condo, you only insure your individual unit inside. The HOA, the condo association, insures the exterior of the property. So the roof, outside the walls, everything like that. So these condos are having these massive insurance policy bills come due for older properties for their master association policies, which is really increasing HOA dues. So some properties totally fine. If they're managed well, financially by the association, they're perfect. If they're mismanaged, that's where we're seeing them run into issues of skyrocketing HOA dues, things like that, and more inventory.
And on the newer side, though, we're not seeing that as much because they're kind of already adjusted to like the new norm, right?
Exactly. They're built more to modern codes. They have, they're obviously clean milestone inspection, no issues at all.
Yeah, what I would say, so on the pro on that one, as far as like, would I suggest one? Tampa's been a little funky with condos. They were real popular like in that Feather Sound area or a lot of the different areas of Pinellas, like, little pockets. Same thing with like West Shore, like some of South Tampa had like little pockets. But really and truly, the condo areas right now, the two hottest spots are going to be downtown St. Pete and downtown Tampa. It's like the new trendy version of Tampa, this cosmopolitan city that we're kind of turning into, where we're seeing waterfront, Riverwalk type downtown living. And of course, they're not building houses there. Condos is the way to go. So I would say the new fun, shiny object are condos, newer condos downtown or Riverwalk. And I would say, yeah, that's a really good idea. Condos out in the suburbs, I don't know. They just never have seemed to be like the hottest commodity, right? People usually tend to go townhome or single family. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Moving down the list here, Jordan, based on high inventory, do you see sellers becoming more motivated than sticking to the listing asking price? Depends on where that listed asking price is, if you're overpriced because a seller wanted to go fishing and see what they can get, then I think there's a little bit of wiggle room. Right now, I just put a listing on this past week. My seller said, hey, let's move this property. And I said, okay, I did my homework. I sharpened the pencil, and I priced it really aggressively. And we have gotten a ton of showings, and we're only 2 days on market. So we've had probably 8 showings already. And I can tell you 1 or 2 of them are going to pull the trigger here in the next week. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to sell that house. It's about a $450,000 price range. So really hot price range as well. And
you price it right, it's going to move quickly.
Yeah. And you might have somebody, a buyer, like try, right? And say, hey, I want to give you a $20,000 offer. I was like, hey, listen, man, do your numbers. Here's the comps I pulled. This is priced really aggressively. As you know, when you saw it, you can look around at Zillow or anything else you want, but here's the comps. And again, that goes back to the question, if you have a solid realtor that did the homework, they can pass that along and feel confident in that number. You don't have to lower it, And when you pass that number on, they're going to say, oh yeah, I can see the value. This thing is priced right. So you're going to see some adjustments, but not all. So, Jazz, you said, what's your take on not jumping into politics, but will elections dictate future home prices? Yeah. Yes and no. Yes and no. I think it's more or less, I don't think elections, this is just my thoughts. I don't know that elections necessarily directly influence housing. I do think that people's perceptions of the market and different things could change, so if you think that you get one side in and they think the market's going to do better, then boom. But realistically, I think the next big move is probably the Fed lowering the rate slightly. I think our market really needs about a 0.5 to 1% decrease in interest rate. And then I think it's like game on again.
Then the competition starts significantly again.
Yeah, then it gets a little nuts. So I don't know if I'd put all that weight on elections. I'm sure they have some kind of play to it, but it can go either way. I think it's really like, hey, Fed, when are you lowering the rates? And whenever that happens, will be the next big change in the market. Is Midtown Tampa a shopping center or neighborhood? Both. It is mainly a shopping center / area for people to, local businesses, restaurants, a few little boutique shops, but they do have a hotel and they do have apartments there. So you can't buy in there, but they do have apartments. And then that's going to be the main development of Midtown. And then around that is kind of like West Tampa, redefined as Midtown area, where they do have older homes. So you should buy the penthouse. Adam, you've got some funny stuff, man. Yeah, you buy the penthouse, I'll live there. I think Homes by West Bay is coming to Spring Hill. Yeah, I saw something about that. Homes by West Bay is a great builder. You like to poke fun at Morejon. Does that come with a helicopter ride to Tampa? I'm assuming you're making that comment on just traffic. It's really not that bad, depending on everything in Tampa is about when you drive, the time of day. I get there in under 35 minutes, and depending on where you're coming from, that's not a bad drive from the suburbs to the city, right? Rays Stadium. Yep, we got the Rays Stadium approved. Very interesting to see what that's going to turn out to be. But St. Pete is going to have a really good development there. I think it's going to boost that up. So, Jordan, looking to buy in the coming months in and around the Oldsmar Town and Country area, looking at 40 to 50% cash down and finance the remaining on 300 to 400. Thoughts on those areas? Brian, what do you think about those areas?
I mean, I love Oldsmar. Oldsmar is definitely, I would say, very up and coming. It's changed a lot in the last 10 years since I've seen it. There wasn't that much there. Now there's a lot of new development, new building there, and a lot of fun things for people and especially families to do in Oldsmar. And I think the really cool thing about Oldsmar is anybody who's in there, who lives there, is very community based for the most part. You know, it almost kind of seems like a small town. But I think Oldsmar is beautiful. Town and Country as well is starting to get hot because a lot of Town and Country, there's those little canals where, say, if you like to boat, you can keep your boat out back. There's development going in there. They've got a lot of good schools. I mean, like Berkeley Academy is in Town and Country, which is probably the best school in the Tampa Bay area. So I do actually like both of those areas. Yeah.
Oldsmar is kind of neat, man. You could find, if you're looking for an area where you can stretch out a little bit of land, they've got some good little pockets in there. In fact, I was looking at one the other day that came on the MLS, and it was like, I don't know, it was about 1,000. What was it? I'm sorry. It was about an acre of land. And this doesn't appeal to everybody. It's not like newer construction. You're not going to find that. It's an older house, but it was like a 1970s build with a ton of potential. Like, you know, the land is what attracted me to it. And I'm always looking at different homes, no matter, even if I'm not ready to move. I'm looking at homes to see what the potential is in homes. And I could just see it, man. I was like, man, an acre with, you know, pine trees everywhere. And this old, it just had like this really open layout. It just needed to be gutted. So, but it was interesting. I don't know. Yeah, East Bay, East Lake, Landsbrook, is it cheaper than West Chase? Yes and no. It depends. Different style, but definitely a different style. West Chase is like, I feel like it's like the perfect master plan community. And West Chase can get pricier, but East Lake and all that can get pricey too, depending on where you look. You're going to have a big variety there. So, folks, let us know if you have any specific questions, mortgage related, real estate related. We're here for just a little bit longer. Drop them in the comments, and we're happy to answer them for you. And, you know, not that Brian needs another introduction, but he is our preferred mortgage rep here in Tampa. So I'll always leave his information in the description of the video later on, or you can just reach out to us and we can always connect you, because he's happy to help answer any questions you have that's mortgage related. Jazz, you asked about, was there any new way, mandates on the way and how HOAs charge fees? Did you read on that? Yeah, I did read on that. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't dive into that too deep because I think things are still swirling around. But I have not seen any new ways that communities are really charging those HOAs. I haven't seen any big changes on that yet. So anyway, it looks like the questions are wrapping up here. I don't see anything new on there. So guys, I just want to thank you. Wanted to keep it short and sweet. You know, if you ever have any questions on that stuff, like I said, reach out to my team. We'd be happy to help on real estate, help you find the right area that works for you. Or Brian, he can help out with mortgage questions or mortgage rates. And a lot of times people have questions about the process and like how to choreograph things, as far as like, hey, I'm making a big move from another state or from another area. I need a new job. You know, what does that look like? What do I need to do to get that pre-approval? And he can definitely help you understand what that looks like. But outside of that, thank you for joining us, and definitely check out my channel because we'll have more new videos just like this one this weekend that's going to highlight Murata, and no, it doesn't come with a helicopter ride to Tampa. Till that next video, I'll catch you guys later.
Thanks for having me.